guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and this is my open book. In today's video, we're coming at you with the first weekly wrap-up of 2024. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into the books that I've read over the past couple of weeks. I do have some books on here that are still left over from December, and it was when I was trying to get all my Christmas romances in before the month was over. Unfortunately, I did not get to read like even half of the Christmas books I wanted to read in 2023, but that's okay. I just wasn't really in the Christmassy mood this year. I think it's because I had to travel for about half the month. Even though I didn't get to read that many Christmas romances, I had some really heavy hitters, so I'm actually really excited to share them with you. And if you watched my 5-star books of 2023 video, you'll see the very last minute entry, The Christmas Blanket by Candy Steiner. This ended up being like one of my favorite books of the year, honestly. Like, okay, let's not get crazy here. I feel like it could definitely be like 6-star material because it's just like everything I want out of a romance. And it was a novella too, which I feel like is especially hard for an author to, you know, give me everything I want when it's not even like a full-length novel. So kudos to Candy Steiner for that. But this is a second chance romance, and this is actually a couple who's divorced, and it's years later. They got married really young. I don't even want to tell you that much about it because it's so short. I feel like it's gonna spoil a lot, but basically all you know is they got divorced a few years ago when she's coming back to the small town to visit her parents for the first time, I think as like a surprise. And she ends up hitting like a really bad winter storm and has to pull off the side of the road. And guess who rescues her? Her ex-husband, of course. And she ends up like snowed in his cabin with him on like Christmas Eve. Oh my god, it was so cute. Like, I love the flashback scenes to like their memories when they were first a couple, and then, you know, showing like what they went through, like why they broke up, and what they've been doing in their lives since then, and then to now. Like, the fact that Candy Steiner was able to fit all that in a novella is like amazing, top notch. And yeah, like I honestly wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't ask for more. I wouldn't ask for less. Like, it was literally perfection in a Christmas novella. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was great, like wintry Christmas vibes without being like super cheesy. So yeah, it was a winner for me. Then I read these next two after I filmed my 5-star video, but these next two Christmas books are both 5 stars as well. Big Nick Energy by Morgan Elizabeth. This one pulled on all my heartstrings. So this is about Nick, right? So he is talking to his son, and he's a single dad, and his son is telling him about how he's gonna go on this date with this MILF, and because she's older than him and all these things, she's a single mom, blah blah blah. And of course Nick is like rolling his eyes at his son like, you jerk, like don't call her that. So the date does not go well with his son and the MILF, but they end up staying friends. They do, you know, form a good friendship with each other. So then it goes to like months later, and the female main character has nowhere to go for Thanksgiving. So his son invites her over to his farm. He owns a Christmas tree farm. Stop, I know, but he does. And Nick is obsessed with her. Like, Nick sees her and he's just like, she's mine. And what I think is especially cute is it's almost like his son knew that, you know. I think that's why his son kept her as a friend. Their romance is so cute. It actually starts off kind of like a hate to love situation. So the female main character is a single mom. She has 2 like younger girls, and she brings them obviously to Thanksgiving at Nick's house, and Nick is asking them like, oh, have you guys been visited by Elf on the Shelf yet? And the female main character is like, dude, you think I have time for that? Like, why are you getting their hopes up? So he feels bad. So he drives an hour to her house every night to set up Elf on the Shelf for her kids so that she doesn't have to. I'm sorry, it was so cute. And the fact that he owns a Christmas tree farm, and then he's doing Elf on the Shelf for her kids. And obviously then you find more about like her backstory. Unfortunately, she just got out of like an abusive, toxic relationship with her ex-husband. And so she's dealing with like custody issues with him, and you know, like trying to be a single mom for the first time. And oh my god, the way he takes care of her, because like she doesn't let anybody take care of her, but he's gonna do it anyway. Like, I just love them so much. And her kids were great. His son was a great side character too. And yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, amazing. I can't believe that I was able to squeeze in such a great romance before the end of the year. Like, this was top tier, 100%. The other fun Christmas novella that I read was December Midnights by Victoria Wilder. So this was an interesting one. It gives Hallmark, right? But I think that Victoria Wilder did a great job of adding something different to it. So this also gives kind of like a magical, like whimsical element to it. So basically it takes place in a town that, I think in Maine, I believe, that is at a lighthouse. So it's like one of those like really old lighthouses that got turned into an inn, or like a bed and breakfast kind of place. And the same woman has owned it for years, and she's kind of like the like gypsy fortune teller of the town, also referred to as like the matchmaker. So she helps people like find their soulmates, and she just has this like knack for determining when someone is like going to meet their soulmate. So she runs this inn with the female main character. She has told her, like, this is your year. Like, this year, winter solstice, that's going to be when you find your soulmate. So the female main character is like ready. Like, it's about to be the winter solstice. She's like ready to go. She knows that she's going to meet her soulmate within the next like couple of days. Well, what she doesn't know is the owner of the inn actually like sold part of it to like these other investors. So that guy comes in. The girl doesn't know that he's like part owner now. She thinks that he could be like her soulmate because when she meets him, there's like this instant connection that she feels. And they kind of start like making out of nowhere, which is like unlike both of them. Both of them are like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, why are we doing this? This isn't normal behavior, but they just like can't help it. I don't know, like normally I wouldn't like the insta love trope, but I just love the way that she did it here, because yes, they did have that moment of like instant chemistry, but then when they realized who the other person was, they were instantly like, oh, it can't be you. You can't be my person. No way. And there's also stuff going on in his backstory. So he's like a retired baseball player who's going through a really bad breakup with a famous singer. So his PR is like on the downs right now. So he doesn't really want to get into a relationship anyway, but they just can't like deny the attraction that they feel. And like I said, this actually had a lot of like whimsy and magic in it, in terms of like fortune telling, tarot cards, like reading the stars, and like palm reading, and like, you know, things like that, which I thought was an interesting element that I think made it different enough so it didn't feel like just your typical like, oh, this guy comes into a small town and wins over the main girl, you know. I feel like it was different enough. Yeah, like it still delivered on like the quirky small town setting, but in a unique way. So this ended up being a hidden gem as well. I gave this 5 stars too. If you watched my December book club with Katie, you'll know that we already read Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey, and you can see all my tabs. I actually ended up really liking this one. I will say, I agree with Katie. You can watch that live show if you want to hear our full thoughts. It wasn't very Christmassy. I think that Tessa Bailey definitely like upped the Christmas marketing just to get it to sell more. But like, you're Tessa Bailey, do you really need to do that? Like, you should have just been honest. I don't know. But the fact that it has a freaking Christmas tree on the cover, and it's called Wreck the Halls, and on the back it says like, you know, it's a holiday rom-com, right? Like, I don't know, it's not very Christmassy, so don't go into this expecting like a Christmas Hallmark romance, okay? Now, with that put aside, this was still really good. This felt like old Tessa Bailey to me, like really great banter, hilarious shenanigans from the side characters, but the dirty talking and the spicy scenes are like super hot. And yeah, this also gave me like Daisy Jones and the Six vibes, because these two are children of like rock stars that broke up the band years ago, and they're trying to get them back together. So it reminds me of Daisy Jones and the Six, because it talks about like band drama, or like drama between band members, and like what it's like to be in the spotlight, and just like dealing with big personalities like that. And yeah, I really liked it. Like I said, I'm not gonna give you all my thoughts. Go watch the other video with Katie so you can see my full thoughts on the book. But yeah, another 5 star. Can you believe, like, my last weekly wrap up, I was like, oh my god, I'm in a slump, nothing is good anymore, I hate everything, what is life, what is Christmas? And then like literally the last week of 2023, I read 4 5-star Christmas romances. Like, I guess I was just holding out for the right books apparently. So yeah, that was another great one. Okay, now we'll get into the books that I've read so far in 2024. So I've read 2 books so far. The first one is Flame by Adriana Locke. So this was the new and final book in the Carmichael Brothers series. The rest of the series I binged like back in June or July, I think. It's one of those where like every brother gets his own book and the antics they get up to. There's like a family group chat that's really comical. The younger brother is always like playing pranks on everybody. Well, this one was about the oldest brother, Fox. And I was really excited for his book because he's kind of like the loner of the family. Like the rest of the family is super tight knit, but he's like always doing his own thing. They don't even know what he does for a living. Like he's super secretive, very private. So he was like the mysterious one. So I had no idea what to expect with his book, honestly. So you find out he's like a bodyguard and he worked like in security. So he is a veteran. So he used to be in the military years ago. It's one of those where like he owes a favor to this guy that basically like saved his life in the military. Has a history working for him as security for his sister. So Fox was her security guard like years ago, but then he realized that he was starting to develop feelings for her and he knew that he wouldn't be able to focus and he wouldn't be able to protect her properly. So he resigned basically. And she was also starting to develop feelings for him and she felt like they did have a special bond, and then all of a sudden he just ended things and she didn't know why. So years later, they get a second chance because stuff is happening in her personal life. I don't want to give any spoilers. But basically he has to be her bodyguard again. Like she has to stay with him and he has to keep her safe. And it ends up being like a marriage of convenience too, which I don't think that's a spoiler because this whole series is basically around like fake dating, marriage of convenience scenarios. Every single book has that trope in it in this series. So they have to go into a marriage of convenience for reasons. And their feelings come back and it was just really cute. I think what made this not be a 5-star for me is, while I loved the characters, I didn't like the like inner monologue of the characters. I only liked the book when they were talking out loud to each other. But the parts where it was like inner monologue, I basically skimmed them. Like I thought it was boring and repetitive and it didn't really give me anything new that I didn't already know. So I basically just skimmed the inner monologue parts and then just read like the dialogue or like the group scenes. And I feel like that was a really good time. But I think if I would have like read everything, I probably would have like gotten bored and given this a much lower rating. Next up, I read Narrow by S.J. Tilley. Oh my god. What does she put in these books? I don't know. I don't know. The things that these men do are so unhinged and ridiculous and terrible. Like they're waving all the red flags. Like they're blatantly obvious about the red flags and you just fall in love with them anyway. I don't know why. I don't know how. She's probably drugging me with the pages or something. I don't know. Honestly, tracks. Being drugged is like not too far out of the realm of what happens in the Alliance, apparently. So back in November, my book club pick with Katie was Dom by S.J. Tilley, which was the 3rd book in this series. Yes, we read them out of order, I know, but I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I think I'm glad that I started with Dom's book. But now I'm going back and reading the other one. So this was book 1. Another 5-star. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm also already reading King. I'll give you my full thoughts next week when I finish. I'm hoping by next week I'll have King and the new book Hans done. That way I can give you my full thoughts and I can like rank all 4 of them with like which one was my favorite. I think Dom is still my favorite as of right now compared to Nero, but Nero's book was also still really good, so I don't know. The way this one starts off, in case you couldn't already tell, it's a mafia romance, so it's dark. Please check trigger warnings. There's, like I said, a lot of taboo, forbidden things happening in this series, but you just gotta look past it, okay? Just trust me. But in this one, he is on the run from the police and she's watching a movie in her apartment with her balcony door open, and he just goes up into her apartment to get away from the police, just sits on the couch next to her, starts eating popcorn with her, watching the movie. That's basically how this starts. That's chapter 1. And it just like spirals from there. I don't know. It's so good though. Like there's like a lot of good action in here too, and like this is like the classic alpha man writing style. Like, the things that Nero says and does are just so out of this world, but it just works, okay? It just works. I know it's not realistic. I know in the real world these would be terrible men that I would not endorse. But here, in my delusional book lover world, they're my favorite. I'm obsessed. So yeah, there's that. That's gonna be it for today's video. Give this video a like and leave a comment down below. I would love to hear what book you're starting off 2024 with. Like, what was your first read of the year? And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the future videos. And I'll see you next time. Bye.